Beyoncé, oh my gosh, her and Jay-Z just made a huge purchase. They just bought a home for $200 million in cash. In cash, y'all. This is the cash.
I know his songs were always very street in the hood, always appreciated, and he could cross over and still people all over the world could appreciate.
Again, there were rumors early on that earlier this year that Beyonce and Jay-Z were having marital problems because they're separating assets. My sources told me, Beyonce and Jay-Z are like peanut butter and jelly. They ain't never separating. She ain't never leaving that man. He ain't never leaving her. However, they were separating assets because Beyonce was making sure that her assets were completely separate from any business dealings that Diddy did with Jay-Z.
What would make a billionaire power couple, with a combined net worth of roughly $3 billion, borrow $110 million against a mansion they already own outright? Let's break it down. Back in 2017, Jay-Z and Beyonce bought a vast California property, now nicknamed the Bear Mansion, for $88 million. Later, they borrowed $52.9 million on that property from Goldman Sachs in a 30-year mortgage. That alone raised eyebrows. But in April of this year, they again took out another $75 million loan on the same house. Their total borrowing on that one estate now stands at $110 million net of original purchase price. Here's why people are scratching their heads. Since the new loan carries 5% interest locked for 10 years, that alone means about $310,000 per month. Add the first loan's payment, estimated at roughly $226,000, and you're looking at $500,000 million a month just in mortgage payments. That doesn't include roughly $100,000 a month in property tax or the cost of staff, security, and upkeep, bringing the total to over $637,000 monthly. Now consider that just before this refinance, they paid $200 million in cash for a new Malibu mansion, the highest amount ever paid in cash for a home in California. Why refinance the old place if you have hundreds of millions available? Some financial experts see this as smart tax strategy. Borrowing against real estate avoids capital gains at selling, making liquidity cheaper than liquidating other assets. Others suggest they needed capital for investments, project funding, or legal protection, and a fixed-rate mortgage could be an efficient tool. Still, skeptics ask, when you're worth billions, why take on $110 million in debt tied to a property already fully owned? These loans carry risks. Missed payments could mean losing the property. Either this is carefully planned long-term financial engineering, or something deeper might be going on behind the scenes. Now, fans are looking at Beyoncé's schedule and noticing something. She's performing nonstop, launching products left and right: hair care, fragrance, alcohol, new fashion lines, and more. She's earning massive as head of Roc Nation. But to fans, this hustle feels more intense than normal. Some are whispering, is she working like she needs to fund something? And then came the rumored bombshell that Jay-Z was denied a $115 million loan. That's when the chatter really blew up. So what do you think is happening here? Could it all be regular billionaire math or something more complicated? Drop your thoughts below.
$15 million business line, I guess a loan for Roc Nation to help expand it and keep it going. It's a lot of money. And you would think, why won't he use his own money? Well, it's because he got to pay taxes on his own money, or he doesn't have the money. Because if he had the money, he wouldn't be asking for it. And if he really needed the money, he would cash in some of his assets. But he's not willing to do that, because then you got to pay a hefty tax on those assets.
Now here's where things really started to raise eyebrows. Reports began to surface that Jay-Z was denied a $115 million loan, and on top of that, he was also turned down for a $55 million line of credit. For a billionaire, that's not something you hear every day. Banks usually don't reject people with that kind of wealth, unless they've seen something in the background that doesn't sit right. Keep in mind, Jay-Z and Beyoncé already borrowed $110 million against their Bel Air mansion. When you put that next to these two rejections, it starts to feel like they've been actively trying to access large sums of money, and not always successfully. But it goes even deeper. In an old video clip that resurfaced, Desiree Perez, a top executive at Roc Nation, admitted that the company was $40 million in debt at one point. She didn't sugarcoat it. She said things got serious, and she was doing everything she could to keep it from falling apart. Even Jay-Z has talked about losing $20 million from a legal battle involving the Busby lawsuit. That's not pocket change. These lawsuits cost more than time. They burn through huge amounts of money. Legal fees, settlements, public relations, damage control. And it's not just one case. People are starting to quietly link Jay-Z's name to legal issues connected. To Diddy, too. Even if he's not directly involved, just being tied to those lawsuits, financially or publicly, could cause serious problems. Some are beginning to wonder if these big home loans are being used to quietly move money around. Maybe to support other businesses, fund legal defenses, or simply to stay liquid. Using real estate as collateral lets you borrow without immediately selling your more visible assets. But it's risky. If something goes wrong, like missed payments or court freezes, they could lose the house they borrowed against. There's a growing theory that Jay and Bey are shifting funds quickly, not to spend, but to protect. Legal problems don't just go away, and they're expensive and long-lasting. One fan even commented, "It feels like they're in bankruptcy prevention mode." Another said, "I love Beyoncé, but she's working like someone who needs the money. This isn't normal." So here's the real question. Are they facing real financial trouble? Or is this just careful planning that looks messy from the outside? Let's be clear. Broke for billionaires isn't what it means for the rest of us. They're still extremely wealthy. But tight cash flow, legal costs, denied loans, and constant activity point to some kind of financial pressure, whether it's damage control or preparation for what's coming next.
Jay-Z and Beyoncé bought a $200 million house in California.
Yeah.
In Malibu.
They're saying they paid all cash for it, too.
Social media has been buzzing nonstop about this. As soon as the news dropped about the massive mortgage numbers and the denied loans, people had strong opinions, and they didn't hold back. One comment that really got attention was not Jay-Z putting Beyoncé on tour like she's paying rent. It was meant to be funny, but there's some truth behind the joke. Fans are noticing how packed her tour schedule is, and it doesn't just look like an artist doing what she loves. It looks like someone carrying a heavy financial load. Another person said, "This feels like a slow-motion financial emergency." And honestly, that sums it up. From back-to-back mortgage refinancing, to loan rejections, to huge spending, all of it feels a little frantic. Still, not everyone sees it as trouble. Some fans are saying, this is just how the rich manage money smartly. And yes, things like borrowing against property, reducing taxes, and holding onto investments can be smart wealth strategies. But others aren't so convinced. They're asking, if everything's fine, why are the loans being denied? Why the non-stop hustle? It doesn't seem like Jay-Z and Beyoncé are going broke, but it does look like they're being very careful. Maybe even preparing for something behind the scenes. Legal issues, big business risks, who knows? What do you think? Is this just clever money management, or is something more going on? Let me know in the comments, hit like, and don't forget to subscribe, because this story's far from over.